All right, guys, we are live at Framing the World with a very exciting show today. We are going to be talking with family nurse practitioner Bryan Masche, and so it's going to be a great interview. I've been looking forward to this interview for quite some time now. I met him at the rally in Phoenix here. And so we're going to get him on the line in a few minutes and just talk to him. He's real passionate about this issue of the coronavirus. And so I'm definitely looking forward to the show today. We have in the studio, we have Dustin, my man Dustin.
Hey,
and
Paul.
we have Ramon as well. So it's going to be a great show today, guys. Make sure you share this on Facebook. Make sure you share this on your social media accounts. And also don't forget to give this video a thumbs up because we definitely need all the support we can get. We're doing new graphics here today, guys. So I finally got the NDI working, and I'm very excited about that. It's been a journey for sure. And so I now have two computers working simultaneously to make this thing happen. And it's going to be a learning curve, but we're going to get over it. But guys, make sure you support us on Patreon. This show is 100% funded by your donations and your support on Patreon. So if you can, please go to our Patreon account and donate. It's just $5 a month, and you make a huge difference in our show. And I'd like to be able to give this guy some money for all his hard work. So if you guys donate, I know he doesn't want it or doesn't ask for it, but I appreciate everyone out there tuning in and listening. And Dustin, I mean, you don't know much about this guy, do you?
No, I did see your video that you put up. That was that one guy that was talking up on the platform. Can we show some of that? You got it ready to go, or?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, no problem. I can maybe share it when I can get it over here. But so this guy's name is Bryan Masche, and so he went up there and he got on the platform when you were recording your time down there. So tell us about that, because you were supposed to. Which one was it, on May 3rd or April 20th?
Yeah, so I went to two different protests in Arizona, and they were both real nice at the Capitol, and a lot of people turned out. And so I definitely thought it was great. If you haven't yet checked out those videos, I put all the raw footage up on the Framing the World channel, so you can go check that out there. I have some of it linked. I have it here ready to play, but
how about right here? Okay.
Yeah. So that's the video. So make sure to go to our YouTube channel and check that video out. It's definitely
Look at what I got up here.
Okay, what do you got?
This is him, right?
Yeah, so you got what, 8? Yeah, that's him.
All right.
Bryan Masche.
Yeah, so he's got the stethoscope. I think it's kind of funny. I mean, I don't know anything about this guy, so I don't know where he's coming from. I'm going to learn with everybody else. I mean, he's not famous, so it's not like we should know who he is. He's just a guy that maybe we'll find out how he got up on the platform and how we ended up talking. Can you hear anything happening here on this end?
Well, he is kind of famous. I mean, a long time ago, and I remember seeing this on the news a long time ago, but he had sextuplets. So,
interesting.
And he was all over the news. You can Google the guy and see all the videos about that.
Interesting. Let's look at that. That's kind of interesting.
Well, we got it pulled up here. Ramon does.
Okay, bring it up, Ramon. What's up with this?
So
is he?
Yeah, there it is.
It's this guy here. What, did they do a TV show?
Yeah, they did a TV show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got the mouse right on the face. Yeah,
that's Paul's pet peeve. Man, you could be doing everything right, but if the mouse is up there, Paul's gonna let you know in front of everybody. So what's up with that? Put that mouse back over there. Let's see that screen. Let's just hang out a minute. I know we're gonna get him on the phone. Do we have an appointment?
Yeah, so we'll call him now.
Right now. So that's when he wants us to call.
Well, 5. So a couple minutes before.
All right. So was this one of those like fertility things where it was like?
Yeah, I think so.
Where they wanted to have a kid, and so they just up the chances and ended up with many. So
Yeah.
we got Ramon's. Is that Ramon's mic coming in and out with a little background noise?
Is it? I don't know. Is it muted?
Okay. You got that air conditioner going up there? Turn that thing off.
No, we don't got
Can't
anything up here,
afford that
man.
background noise. Okay, so we've got this iPad pulled up here, and I gotta log in. So everybody, you're just hanging out with us. This is just what we're all doing together. So, if you want to get some A1 production, you have to go to the corporate shills for that. So, all right. So, I'm looking at Skype here. Oh, he's up here. He's ready to go. I'm just going to hit him with a quick message and just say ready.
I'll just call him, man. I already talked to him. I talked to him like 10 minutes ago.
All right. All right, here we go.
I'll just wait till you get him.
Well, we got him. He's up. He's counting. Hey, Bryan.
Guys. Hey, how are you?
Pretty
You
good.
guys see me or no? I don't see
No, you got to hit the little camera. You got a camera in there?
Oh. Video. Hold on one second here. Looks like it's coming up now.
Nice.
Yeah,
there we go. All right.
Cool.
Hey, my name is Dustin.
Hey, Dustin. How are you, man?
Pretty good. Thanks for joining us today. Tell us about yourself. Who are you, and how did you come to be there at the rally that day?
Sure. So my name is Bryan Masche. I'm a nurse practitioner here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been a nurse for 5 years here in the Valley, mostly operating room, a little bit of emergency room work as well. I was at the rally because I was contacted by the Great 48 group to give a speech there at that rally on Sunday. Kind of since this whole thing started about 6 weeks ago, I've been speaking out as a medical provider, looking at the information, looking at the data, going over it myself and saying, well, yes, the virus is very real and some people have gotten sick and some people have died. The threat that the virus causes does not equal the lockdown measures and the destruction of the economy. And I think early on it was very hard for a lot of physicians, nurses, doctors, medical personnel to want to speak up. Everyone was so concerned about their job. And I just was one of the first people here in Arizona to start speaking out, and just sort of happened.
So when you said speaking out, what are you speaking out? Something inside of you, right? So something inside of you saying, I'm not seeing a justification for this type of response. Is that kind of, so
Yes.
How did that manifest in your immediate, looking out your window?
Sure. So one of my friends and I were actually talking about this the other day. I have a very funky background. I spent 8 years in the military. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for years before I ever became a nurse. I have a political science degree and MBA. So I look at this from a lot of different hats, with a set of glasses on that are very unique to the situation. And from all the first data that started coming out of Italy, I was, going through these studies and looking at information and saying, this doesn't make sense. The mean age for people that are dying in Italy is 81 years old. They have a population density in the entire country of Italy that's roughly the size of Arizona. These are the type of when you have population, really dense populations, and then you have some sort of a viral pathogen or a respiratory pathogen like tuberculosis, whooping cough, meningitis. We're always, as healthcare providers, concerned about things like, military barracks, college dormitories. That's why everybody has to get their shots before they leave to go to college, because these things spread through areas where people are living on top of each other. Well, that's what happens in countries like Italy. If you've been to Europe, that's the way people live. The national greeting in the country. I'm Italian, and I have Italian family members, and I've been there, twice. So I have an understanding. The national greeting isn't a handshake; it's a kiss on the cheek. It's like a perfect testing ground for something like this to happen. Everybody smokes, everybody lives on top of each other. And none of this data that came out made any sense, where I was like, we don't live the same way they do there. Just like we don't live the same way people in New York City live. We have a very different life here in Arizona than people in New York City do. There's 8.3 million people, just in New York City. We have 7.2 million in the entire state of Arizona. It's more expensive to store your car if you have in your apartment, if you actually have a garage space or buy a garage space, than your actual car payment. Everybody takes a subway. Everybody takes a train. Everybody takes a bus somewhere. We can't even get people to ride the light rail in Phoenix. It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking at that and you're saying, why are we getting the same type of response? Where it's like everybody kind of just drew the same card. This is how we're going to respond across the board. And we've got
Absolutely.
a totally different climate. By the end of April, we're already at 100 degrees. It doesn't seem to be
Sure.
the type of environment where these types of pathogens can spread easily. So how about as a nurse and working in the medical field, were you seeing cases of diagnosed people with coronavirus directly in your job?
No, I was not. So being in the operating room, we got shut down pretty quickly. I worked for a company that did staffing for all the outpatient surgery centers in the Valley. And then I also worked for Banner, for a company that's affiliated with Banner that just staffs the operating rooms for Banner facilities. So when all this happened, they initially shut down outpatient elective surgery right away. And so I had time on my hands. I'm trying to figure out what am I doing? And now I'm going to have to go take a different job or, go into a different field of nursing. And I started, reading, more and more on the studies and the data. And I'm telling myself, this doesn't make sense. A good friend of mine, we went out and hopped in his Jeep one day and we started driving all over the Valley, and we filmed like 4 different level 1 trauma centers in the Valley, and all the parking lots were empty. Like every one of them was empty. Like we went to Banner University downtown, the biggest, what was called Good Sam, the biggest trauma center, kind of in the Valley, or one of the 2 biggest ones in the Valley. And I had never in 13 years of visiting that hospital, because my kids were born there, had ever seen that parking lot so empty before. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, if this is as bad as they're saying it is, why are we not seeing ambulance after ambulance? Like, why are we not seeing, overloaded ICUs? And a lot of my friends that worked outside of the operating room, like in the ER and in the ICU, they started seeing me speaking up on Facebook, and they started contacting me. And they're like, Bryan, like, my hours are getting cut. Like, I have friends that literally were on the COVID-19 response team at Banner Desert, and they're having their shifts cut because there's not enough patients, And then I'm reading more stuff coming out, and I find out that the Verde Valley Hospital up in Cottonwood is about to close their doors permanently because they can't make payroll. And then I see in the news that down in Santa Cruz, the hospital down there is going to close. And then as this continued to go on, I would see, reports started coming out that the Army Field Hospital set up in Seattle was being closed up without ever seeing a single COVID patient.
So do you think the numbers were because you hear about them saying there's a discrepancy between people dying of COVID-19 and dying with COVID-19.
And dying with.
Right. So do you think these numbers have been exasperated? Is that I'm saying that right? Exacerbated? Yeah. Blown out of proportion?
Yeah. Sure. So I think there's a couple things to that. I think in the very, very, very beginning, when the statistical models were put together, anytime that you try to, do statistical modeling forward, okay, any of that data that you're putting in, if it's off even slightly, okay, then the outcome that you're going to get on the other end is going to be blown completely out of proportion. So I don't know how many people remember, but a month ago, 5 weeks ago, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx are both saying, unless we do everything 100% right, we may only have 100,000 to 250,000 deaths. If we do everything 100% right. And now we're sitting at like 70,000 deaths, and those are terrible. Like, I'm not at all dismissing the fact that people have died, and it's tragic that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But when your numbers are off by that much, and then when hospitals are being incentivized to list on death certificates COVID-19 because they're getting paid higher amounts of money, and when patients are being put on respirators that either may or may not need them because we didn't really know early on, and then hospitals are getting reimbursed more money for that, something's wrong here. Like, something doesn't make sense and isn't adding up.
So you've got a minor in political science and justice studies. What is justice studies? What's that?
Sure.
I know political science, but
sure. So when I went to ASU, it was justice studies was kind of like it was a little political science. It was a little bit of history. It was a little bit of
like criminal justice type of thing.
A little bit of criminal justice as well, but it was kind of all three because there was a different degree available at the time. You could get like a criminal justice degree, like if you had wanted to go into law enforcement. I got a justice studies degree because I liked the theory and I liked kind of the Spartan debate of interacting with professors and studying history at the same time, and it was sort of an amalgamation of kind of three different degrees.
Well, a lot of people have been bringing this back to the Constitution, to the Bill of Rights, to that the governors are overstepping, that they're making mandates and there's no due process in these things, and so we don't lawfully have to obey. We're only doing it just to acquiesce, to not be socially maybe awkward in many people's, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
But what do you think because they're not doing this under the color of law, as far as they're doing it. They're doing it through FEMA. I hear like there's been like a state of emergency.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that procedure and how they're able to push this type of these types of mandates through, and what we're really up against?
Sure.
What do you think?
Sure. So, there's two ways that martial law can be declared. Okay. Martial law can be declared. The president can actually intervene and declare martial law in a state, or a governor can actually declare martial law. Okay. Martial law has not been declared nationally, and it has not been declared within the state of Arizona either. We've been operating under the Stafford Act, and the Stafford Act does allow the government certain powers, okay, but it doesn't suspend the Constitution, okay? Like, the Constitution is the founding document of everything, where it all stems from, like we created the country didn't create us, we formed a government, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly right now, because the media has been so ingrained in this entire, I actually refer to it as a plandemic and not a pandemic. They've been so ingrained into this, and they have literally taken control of people's thought processes to where they've blown this so out of proportion that the average person, if they're not willing to do a little bit of extra research themselves or a little bit of extra study themselves, they're scared, and they don't know what's going on. So instead, they just acquiesce to whatever it is the government is telling them to do. Thank God for patriots, like this Leslie, I can't remember her name, the salon owner in Dallas, who was willing to get arrested. She was willing to get arrested, and then Governor Abbott had to step in, and his attorney general stepped in, and they got her out of jail. But thank God that there are people that have some sense and some rational thinking. I mean, what's taking place in Michigan right now, and what's taking place in California? Like, someone just sent me a video before I came on with you in California, and they just arrested like 20 people at the state capitol. One of them was a pastor of a big church in Marietta, and this guy that's doing the video is a physician and a former Marine, and he's speaking out saying this doesn't make sense, And now to bring it here to Arizona, So a group of my friends, we formed the political action committee, the Arizonans for Liberty. So we did file an official recall petition to remove Governor Ducey based on his unauthorized executive order. And so we have that petition. And tomorrow, I just found this out this morning. Some friends found out late last night that the state House and the state Senate is meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. to take a vote on a procedure called Sin Die, which basically means that they are going to suspend the legislature for the rest of the year. Like, none of our elected officials will be working at the Capitol for the rest of the year. And they're essentially just giving Governor Ducey power to run whatever's going to happen for the rest of the year.
So that's being put on the floor tomorrow, and they're going to vote on
Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Yes.
Wow.
Like, so I'm
that in the news?
Encouraging people. It's in the news. There's a press release that came. I mean, to what level of news, I don't know, but there was a press release that was released by the Arizona State Senate. I can't remember her name. Karen Fan, I believe her name is. And she literally is saying that they're meeting tomorrow. Here it is right here. Statement from Senate President Karen Fan. The Arizona Senate will be returning on Friday, May 8th to Sin Die. This direction was determined after conversations and communications with members of the Arizona Senate and House. This is a strong consensus that is the right thing to do, recognizing that the health of the Arizona citizens and our economic recovery are our highest priority. And it goes on, but basically the gist of it is that they are suspending the legislative session for the rest of 2020 based off of the threat of the coronavirus. And they say in here at the very bottom that they're going to form task forces to basically, run some of the other things that are going on in the government. So we're literally now losing our elected officials who we could then go to and say, hey, we don't agree with what's going on here. Like, we need you because Governor Ducey won't speak to us. Like, how can we can no longer address our government, for a redress of grievances. Yeah. This is unconstitutional, man.
Is this the first state to do something like this?
I don't know any others. I don't know any other states that have done it. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, I literally almost couldn't believe it as I was reading it this morning. And so a lot of my friends from the petition started calling me and emailing me right away, messaging me. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is nuts.
So you mentioned that pandemic, and Paul Wittenberger. If you're just joining us, we're on Framing the World Live with Paul Wittenberger, and we're also talking with Bryan Masche, and he's a registered nurse, and he's involved with, is it called Arizonas for Liberty?
Arizonans for Liberty.
Arizonans for Liberty, and he's been outspoken as a nurse and as a father and as a patriot, talking about how this coronavirus event has gone a little bit too far, has reached too far into our liberties, and there needs to be some pushback. Now, what we have to do it. We have to do it in order. Obviously, we're not calling for riots. We're not calling for. Nobody's getting lynched in the streets. Not yet. Right? No, there's no pitchforks or torches. Yeah. But we're trying to get this conversation to be had. But you just mentioned that that the president of the legislature, the state Senate, right, Arizona State Senate President Karen Fan has announced that they're going to meet tomorrow to discuss closing the entire 2020 session, which would change the way that we would interact with our government, which would put the state governor in pretty much a dictator state where he doesn't have. Yeah, it's unbelievable. There's no checks and balances at all.
None. Like, I am telling everyone, like, I have been speaking all day about this, like, get to the Capitol tomorrow. There's from what I was told, both houses have to agree to this. So the House and the Senate both have to agree to it for it to pass. That right now, the House vote is 31-29 denying this. So there's a Republican majority. And my whole thing in this whole thing, like the recall and everything, is like, this isn't Republican, this isn't Democrat, this isn't been a libertarian for 20 years, you know, but I'm like, this is an Arizonan problem, you know, that Arizonans need to fix. And it's going to take Democrats working with Republicans, working with Bernie fans, working with everybody.
Seems like they're working well together to do the other, though. They're all they all seem to be working together well. Crazy. Not for us.
Yeah, I mean this happened to us under a Republican governor.
Right.
I mean, you know, who's supposed to be pro-business, but yet he's allowing, you know, the government to decide which businesses are winners and losers. And from a medical standpoint, where are you more likely to pick up coronavirus at? At mom and pop hardware store down the street, or at Lowe's where there's 2,000 people walking through there in a single day?
Right.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't even make a difference anyway. It would have to be like a 100% controlled quarantine to be effective.
Right.
And there's no justification for that because their models fell flat. You want to talk about leveling the curve. They did it themselves when they just adjusted the numbers to reflect actual cases and actual deaths. Not to mention the factor that people are being diagnosed with COVID. And there's also where even if they don't die of COVID, they can be listed as having had COVID, or if they died with symptoms that may fit within the criteria. So it seems to be, dare I say, I want to say hoax, but when you talk about a pandemic, there seems to be a trumped up, there's a narrative that's being pushed, and it's not the first time our government officials have pushed a narrative to come in and then to bring legislation. But in this case, they're not even bringing legislation. They're just bringing like a heavy hand. It's like a rod of iron.
Yeah.
It's there. You know, they are not like implementing the rod of iron, but it does seem that they are. They do have a wooden stick, at least I'd say. And
it's called soft tyranny. You know, because it's a soft tyranny. It's not a hard. It's not South America where we're beating people over the head with a stick, but yet we're making it so uncomfortable for them to go to work, to make money, to provide for their families, that it's this soft tyranny to where people feel like they can't do anything about it. And they just have to accept what the narrative is. And so then you get guys like myself and others who are trying to say, no, like we need to resist this. We need to resist this new norm that they keep telling us about, you know, like this is what the new norm is going to be. No. Like, why did Governor Ducey flip in 4 days or 3 days? You know, because the president came. Like, what changed numbers wise in 3 days? Nothing. Yeah. Nothing changed, you know? And, you know, Dr. Christ, like, I think kind of the level of, like, notice kind of changed a little bit for me when that video came out of Daniel McCarthy and I, like, interviewing Dr. Christ. And it got like 21,000 views, you know, like on Facebook or whatever. And it's like, we're sitting there interviewing her, and this is the state medical director, and she's like agreeing with us, you know? And I'm telling her, how could we ever expect something like New York City to have happen here? Oh, well, I didn't really think that, you know, it was going to happen like that. And, you know, like, and then we start questioning her on, you know, what's, you know, Governor Ducey's relationship to TGen, and how can he be sitting on the board of directors for a company that is rolling out the antibody test kits? Like, he may not be getting paid directly, but there's something there that just seems odd.
Right.
That, like, the man that can keep us locked down is sitting on the board of directors, you know, for the company that's making the kits. That doesn't seem, I don't know. It just seems
sloppy.
shady.
I would have like my buddy do it. And then, you know, just paying my buddy really well. I mean, what kind of sloppy crookedness is that? They should be a lot more effective in their corruption.
Well, and then in yesterday's photo op, you know, President Trump lands. They're all there. Nobody's got masks on. They're all hugging each other. All these photos come out. And then there's another photo of them later on, like sitting inside the hangar. And some have an N95 mask on. Some have a regular mask on. Martha McSally's got a scarf wrapped around her face. Like, none of it makes sense. It's like, if you guys are going to, like, plan a bunch of propaganda, like, do we have to literally teach you how to plan propaganda too?
Well, it's
you can't even get that right.
Because, I just came over here. I drive about 15 minutes to come here this evening to talk with you and to be here in the studio. And, you see so many people just riding their bikes. They're not anywhere near anybody. And it just seems like people just want to be part of this one solution. Like they've got people in this, let's all be complacent together. Let's all just let the leaders handle it and we can just totally trust them. But that's not the history of this country. It's not how this country was founded.
Absolutely not.
It's not the Constitution is a contract between us. Between me and you, and between the people, and the politicians. They assume that when they take that position in office, that they're going to abide by the Constitution because they're one of the people. So they would have to breach the contract, because it's not a contract with us, with the government. It's a contract with us, between ourselves, and the government's made of us as people, and the people who become our representatives have taken an oath to uphold the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. So if they're in breach of contract, I mean, where do we go for remedy? Right.
So that's you touched on it a little bit earlier, and we exhaust all legal measures, which at this point, the Senate could have voted to end the executive order. So they could have came back from recess. They could have taken a vote. They could have said, hey, we're voting to end the executive order. They didn't do that. Okay. So we moved forward with a recall. That's one option that we have that we're trying to work right now. A second option would be an actual lawsuit filed against the governor, because in picking winners and losers business-wise, we're not using the equal opportunity under the law, which is part of the Constitution, that everybody has to be treated equally, and you can't pick winners and losers. So we sort of have that option. And then outside of that, if they suspend this legislative session and we go into this concept of sin die.
What is that called? Can you spell that for me?
It's SINEDIE. It's a Latin phrase, and it basically means we're going to quit. We're giving up for now.
Okay.
And the fact that they would allow one man total control then to run the state, for the rest of the year, like every single one, like for whoever votes for this tomorrow, they have been put on notice. Like Arizonans for Liberty put out another statement saying, if you vote for this tomorrow, you will be recalled too. Like, we don't care if we have to recall the entire state government, like whatever it takes. Like, if you are in favor of this, you are in violation of your oath to the Arizona Constitution and to the U.S. Constitution.
Can't we hold each person individually liable under their own personal liability? Or do they have some sort of shield of protection by their position? Can you hold them individually liable? Because that's what scares the people, is they're doing it. It's just like you're under the company's umbrella. But when somebody says, "Hey,
sure.
Dustin Lone, Bryan, Masche,"
piercing the corporate veil.
Yeah, exactly. I'm holding you personally responsible for violating my rights, and then we could file lawsuits against them individually. Unfortunately, no courts are open to even hear cases, right? So that's the next thing. Is like, what good is the legislative branch if there's no enforcement of any of these laws anyway? So.
And if the executive part is already gone as well, because the executive part of our state government is being run by someone that's doing whatever he wants, what do we get left with? We have patriots, thank goodness, like the Pinal County Sheriff, Sheriff Lamb, and others that are saying, listen, like, we won't enforce these laws, and we're not going to arrest people and throw them in jail. And, it may take just complete acts of civil disobedience, like you said. I'm not talking about coming out with pitchforks and being violent and things like that, but it may take us just openly disobeying all these laws in order to get back to some sense of life that we once had, which this is in our blood. This is in our DNA. This is what we were founded on, throwing tea into the sea, So if it comes to civil disobedience, we may have to do that. And that's what this may come to.
Well, so some of the things that we may be up against currently, like Ventura County, they have enacted a forced removal what is that? A force removal contact tracing of
Yeah.
homes. I don't know what that means exactly. I'm reading notes. So, force removal. This is like taking people out of homes, if I'm not mistaken, like taking children from houses,
Yeah.
and then also contact
So
tracing.
I watched the video this morning that the Ventura County medical director put out, and he basically said what you're saying without alluding to like physically removing you from your home, but he did say that you would be separated. Well, if my rest of my family's in my home and I'm being separated, then what does that mean? That means being removed from my home, or my children being removed from my home, whatever the case may be, or my spouse, or they stay and I go, or something. I mean, now we're getting into like, this is like scary. This is like, that's kind of crazy town type talk. But, if they're going to do that in Ventura County, what's going to happen? Like, if you come into somebody's house and you're saying like, you tested positive for COVID a month ago or whatever, and we're taking you out of here, and we want to know all of the people you've been in contact with. That's the contact tracing part of it. Is like, we want to know, all right, Dustin's been in contact with Steve and Bill and Susie, and now they're going after Steve, Bill, and Susie to see if they tested positive as well. Like, that's some Red Dawn stuff right there, man. That's scary.
I like your qualifications. I've just got a kind of a breakdown here of what you've done, and you got a couple kids, and so that I think spiritually that puts you. I think the more children you have, the more spiritual authority you have to look after them. So when you have a family, you have rights to. I think God gives you power. To look after those children. And so you've done some studying. What about your job? You worried that this is going to cost you your job?
I feel like we're hitting a point now where so many people are beginning to speak up as well, that if I had been like the lone guy up on the wall still, 6 weeks later, like yelling by myself, like I would be more worried about my job. I feel like enough people are speaking out now and are speaking up that if you're on one side of this or the other, like it may not affect your job as much as it would have had other people not joined this debate.
Mm-hmm. And so when you go to the hospital, because what we're talking about is testing, right? So yes. I think we're past this phase where we're really, when this started, I would joke with the people on the show, and I would just like, hey, I'm going to worry when I see the bodies. You know what I mean? And I'm not.
Right.
I'm imagining all these panhandlers out on the corner. They seem to be very strong these days. And when I start seeing those people falling out, because you imagine they would have compromised immune systems, and I'm imagining like, hey, if it's a real like plague, you're gonna see bodies. You're gonna you're gonna see the ambulances. Sure. You're gonna hear a lot more. And so I haven't seen those types of things, but what you have heard reports of, I know somebody who was in the hospital and they were there for something else, and they got tested, and they were shown to be positive for COVID, right, or coronavirus. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know if they're positive for coronavirus or COVID-19. If maybe we're just mashing terminology, but when you go, so the consent to allow yourself to be tested, that's all of my fluids are my property. I have to give consent to do that. If they have to ask me, then it's mine to give, right? So when you go into the hospital, now you're consenting to treatment. You're consenting. So being somebody who's been in the hospital, it's and legally what you're allowed to do or what you're not. There's procedure.
Sure.
So what are we looking at with people? How can they put a little barrier between themselves and maybe forced testing or those types of things? Yeah. What would you advise, or what do you personally?
I mean, I would just tell them to resist and say no. Like if they go in because they're sick with something else and they're saying like, no, you have to be tested for COVID-19. Like I would just tell them no. And if they're gonna force you to leave the hospital and deny you treatment, like. Hospitals aren't supposed to do that. Okay. Like there's EMTALA, there's different laws put in place. that show that, if you show up at a hospital, you have to be treated. Doesn't matter, insurance, no insurance, whatever. However, in this situation, they may try to basically manipulate people or convince them, cajole them into submitting to one of these tests. I'm not going to get tested,
But if they're
unless they
testing,
tell me that
if they're doing a broad spectrum test, then you are consenting to kind
Sure.
of them to find out what maybe if you have like an issue. So
yeah, I would want to know. I would want to know everything that they're testing for. So, if I was going in and I had some, GI symptoms going on, and I got this belly problem or whatever, and they're going to draw blood and do whatever else. Like, I want to know specifically, what are you drawing? What labs for what? And if they do the nasal swab, obviously you would know that because they're going to put this big old stick down your nose. But, I would just be very adamant that, like, listen, I don't want to be tested for COVID. And if you're going to deny me treatment, then I'll go somewhere else, And if they do that and they do deny treatment, then the hospitals can get in a lot of trouble for that,
So some of
I just don't feel – sorry, I was going to say I just don't feel like if this virus has this 99 point whatever 5 or 6% survivability rate, like – I don't even think we necessarily need to have all this mass testing done. It doesn't make sense. Like, if you are, in contact with people with immune deficiency problems, compromised immune systems, the frail elderly, or say your older parent lives with you and they've got diabetes and COPD and some other things, like, different story. Maybe that's the responsible thing to do and get tested and make sure that you're not bringing something home to them. But for average people that don't have major medical problems and aren't going to be involved with others that have major medical problems, no, like, don't do it, because that's just a part of this whole thing. It's a small piece that's part of a bigger, bigger plan that's going on.
Some of the rhetoric that I've heard out there is, well, we can need to open up the businesses and all of that, but then so they're dishing out a lot of common sense stuff. The numbers aren't there. This is affecting the economy, and then they say we need to come in and do testing so people can get back to work. Right. So then, they want to bring in, and then there's always this talk about vaccinations too. Right. In the end, and we know that the flu has never gone away. The flu cases are still as consistent with or without a vaccine. In fact, they're not. So what do you think their agenda is with the testing and with this talk of vaccines? Do you think that's part of their pandemic?
I mean, you look at some of the stuff that you see online, you look at some of the stuff you read about, or you see, on YouTube at some of these videos, and some of it gets pretty scary. Some of it's like takes you down a pretty dark path to where you're like, whoa, that's like, you start talking Bill Gates, microchips, things like that. And it's like, this could get out, you could get out there real fast with the tinfoil hat type stuff.
Right.
And that's why I'm kind of against this whole concept of a vaccine for this. Like, we never got a vaccine for SARS. We never got a vaccine for MERS. There's no real vaccine for Ebola, even though they developed something rapidly, really fast when that doc and those nurses got infected in Houston a couple of years ago. But there's still no long-term vaccine for Ebola or SARS or MERS. Like, I don't see the point of having to do it, I just maybe because I'm a veteran and I'm a libertarian and these other things, but like, I want the government knowing as little about me as possible, or about my family or any of my stuff.
Yeah, I'm not trying to just sow despair in anybody. We hear these things, and my answer is I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Whatever these things are, whether it's wearing a mask going into Costco, which I usually don't do the shopping, but I'm gonna have to do more shopping because my wife can't go in there with more than one child. You probably yeah, that's what they say. But she always
a new thing now
apparently. But I just tell her to act like it's the first time she ever heard it every single time. You know, so she goes through
every time,
and acts like it was.
What do you mean I can't have 2 kids in there?
Yeah, they always let her through. But so I don't know. Do you shop at Costco?
I do not, and I won't.
Okay.
I didn't before, and I definitely won't.
So you
now.
heard about their mandating these masks?
The mask thing.
Yes.
I didn't know about the kid thing, but I did about the mask.
Yeah, just two people per membership, So there's 6 people in my family, and I don't even know how we're supposed to. I got 2 cards, so we have to like separate and act like we don't know each other and still like smuggling kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then stay 6 feet apart from each other, right?
Right. Yeah, but you got the kids.
If I try to stay 6 feet apart from my family, we'll get lost.
Right.
So many of us.
Yeah, you just got to get a string and tie people down.
Yeah, spread them out.
Right.
It's crazy, man. Like it doesn't even feel like I wake up every day, and it honestly it feels like I'm in like a wormhole, or like I'm in the Twilight Zone, or what is this? What is happening here?
Well, Paul put out, if you check our channel, Framing the World on YouTube, you'll see where he, hashtag Plandemic. And he goes into Event 201, which you may have heard of, happening back in October.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it.
And how they had done scenarios and drills and mocked up these types of how would they react, or, they do these types of things a lot. And it seems to coincide quite a bit, more coincidentally or incident with reality. Very it seems like almost uncanny how like the things that they drill for usually come to pass in one regard or
wind up happening.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's like depending on where you stand on the whole like 9/11 truther thing, like that's the same thing. Like people know that like they had been planning a drill like a few days before 9/11 actually happened, and it was that thing. I mean, I'm not saying it was or wasn't, what took place, but what you're talking about is that exact thing. Like they planned for these things, and then, holy cow, somehow something happened, and it's the exact thing that they were training for.
Yeah, but it seems like they're pushing along the plan, and they're not getting the result. Like in their plandemic or in their event, they could justify it because there were certain results that were happening. And so they could move to the next phase. But it seems like they're just jumping to the next phase, even though they're not, it's like they have not checked the box on this phase except for we did it, but it's not produced the same type of, like they, I think at some point they really want to instigate people and they want to get the people up so they can be a little bit more heavy-handed on their response. But people aren't responding, I don't think, hardly at all. Like with
Otherwise, I often wonder, like, why did we activate the National Guard, 6-7 weeks ago? Like, did we really, we didn't need them then. We don't really seem to need them now outside of the Navajo Nation alone. Okay, up on the reservation, but everywhere else, we were sold this line of, they're going to be restocking the shelves in Walmart every night, and they're going to be driving delivery trucks and doing all this other stuff. And like, that hasn't happened. Every time I go into a Walmart, and I strike up a conversation with somebody, they're like, no, we unload all this stuff. And I'm like, who's delivering? They're like, our guys are still driving stuff. So what was the Guard activated for a month and a half now, if not to be put kind of on hold in case what you're talking about actually happens, and now they do have to come in heavy handed and actually like force people to submit to whatever they're planning.
So I mean, we're not trying to scare anybody with this. We're not, but I think we should just be aware of what's kind of going on. You kind of want to lock up your bike, because there's bike thieves, right? So you got to have to bear the chain, while you're riding around, or you got to have your lock on you so you can lock up your bike when you get to where you're going. And because you want to get back on your bike and ride home from where you went, or you want to get out the next day and do that.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that everybody's a bike thief. Everybody's going to steal your bike, but you got to be prepared, and you have to know what's possible in these types of situations. And there are certain warning signs, like there's that one guy who just keeps walking by your bike, eyeing it, and you're like, I better make sure that lock's tight, And so there are these things happening in this public arena, and with our politicians and the governors specifically. It seems like the governors, it's interesting that Trump came into town and out with this
things
whole
changed.
I think that's interesting. I don't pay attention. I'm not tracking it. I don't follow the serial drama of it. I mean, just because I have other things to do, I kind of catch the headlines, and I hear what people are talking about, but I try to just focus on what's most important. But we're not trying to stir these fears or
9 o'clock. I've been in contact with a couple of state representatives. I'm from Lake Havasu originally, and I got a buddy of mine who I went to high school with who's a state rep now there. And he told me, hey, when you guys get there, call me. I'll come down and talk to you and meet you. And so basically we are going there to make sure that our voices are heard, that before both houses go in and vote on this concept of sin die, that they know that the people don't agree with this, that the people want their legislators to be working and to be, trying to solve this crisis. All these people that are on unemployment right now, sadly, some of them have been on unemployment for 6 weeks and haven't got a check.
Wow.
Like one of my admins in this group that I formed, she posted it was like March 23rd or 4th when she filed all of her stuff. And now we're in almost in the second week of May, and she still hasn't received a check, So why would we think it's acceptable for our legislators to go home and stay home for the rest of the year,
getting a paycheck,
when we have functioning pieces of the government that aren't working right now?
Right.
Like, that's insane.
Listen, Bryan, thanks for coming on.
We're going to be loud.
Like a lot of radio stations, they are like, hey, we got the time's up. We're at the top of the hour. We're at the bottom of the iPad. We're at 1%. I don't know why this thing can't keep up with the output. We got you plugged in. So before we drop you in an impolite manner, I want to make sure that you know that we're very grateful that you came on.
Thank you.
So on Facebook, do you have a group, Arizonans for Liberty?
Yeah, there's two groups. There's two groups. There's Arizonans for Liberty that people can join, and then there's also the Recall Petition group, and that's just Recall Governor Doug Ducey 2020. And that's how we're getting the petition out to people. That's how we're organizing. That's how we're finding volunteers that want to circulate the petition. So Recall Governor Doug Ducey 2020, as well as Arizonans for Liberty is the other one, and then my page as well. And they can find links to some of this other stuff on my just Bryan Masche on Facebook.
All right. Well, great. Thank you very much for coming on with us today, Bryan. We can run it down to the end, but I think it's probably better if we actually end it in a polite manner. So all the best to you tomorrow. God be with you.
Okay.
We pray that everything goes well, and that you have a good turnout, and that the right thing happens. It's hard to say because I feel like they have an agenda regardless of what the people hear. But you have to go out there and you have to make sure that you put it on the record that you're not for this. So sometimes you feel like, hey, this isn't going to amount to anything, but you have to get out there and you still have to say it for the record. And hopefully somebody will be that deciding vote and it'll change things.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe. Thank you, Dustin.
All right. Thank you very much, Bryan. Have a good night.
I appreciate it. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
All right. So we're at 1%. I really enjoyed talking to Bryan. So he has an interesting. I like the fact that he was in the military and that he studied political science and everything, because he gets to see. I have history of both, right? So I studied some political. I didn't have a degree, but I studied political science. I was into criminal justice and into all of that stuff in college. For the 1 year I went to college, into community college, but I did have a lot of interest in that. And being a military veteran myself, I can relate to him that way. Bryan wants to know, can I get that from your YouTube and put it on my Facebook? So
I already did.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and so, the iPad, put that aside, he had to go anyways because he actually was headed to the state capitol. He had to leave here in like 15 minutes. So, yeah, that was a great interview. Awesome job, Dustin.
Well, you know what? I just, you kind of get to talk to somebody and you kind of find out what they're about, and you just, I used to sell cars for years. So, like, I kind of have the ability to, like, somebody's like, I am a mortician. And you're like, mortician? Very interesting. And then you find something interesting about this, and then you get them to talk about being a mortician. And it just seems, so when you're out selling cars, when you're out buying cars, the salesperson is going to act very interested in what you're talking about. Yeah. But I always was interested because people are just interesting. And when you find out what they like to talk about, it's fun, you know. So I felt like I could have talked more to that guy.
Yeah, and we will. We'll set up another interview with him. He seemed very cool. He's here in Phoenix, so we could probably get him in the studio and talk to him in the studio as well. So I appreciate everyone tuning into this live stream. Make sure you thumbs up this video or like this video and share it. We're not done yet. We still have a few more things. I wanted to play a clip of what he was talking about Ventura County, and it's very crazy what's happening in Ventura. And I actually moved to Arizona from Ventura, and so this kind of hits home with me a little bit. But they're talking about removing people from their homes or segregating from their homes, and it's very, very crazy. So I'm going to go to that clip right now, and we'll watch that, and then we'll come back for more information. If you guys want to call into the show, you have anything you want to say about any of the new news that's happening, call in at 480-519-4999, and then we'll talk to you then.
All right, and that's a Ron Paul bobblehead for anybody who's curious.
All right, here we go.
A program today, and it's a pilot program which will certainly grow into something larger and larger, and that is a community contact tracing program. We've done contact tracing all along. That a contact is a person who's been exposed to someone that we document to have the COVID infection. When we find someone who has a COVID infection, those people are immediately isolated. But we also work with them to figure out who their contacts were. Luckily, because you have been doing such a great job of cooperating and staying indoors, and staying isolated, it used to be there were 10 contacts, at least, for every patient that we would find. Now, it looks like there are probably only 2 or 3 or 4 contacts, not surprisingly, because most people have been staying away from others. And that's good news. But the purpose of this program is to bring on people. We're going to start with 10 people. We may bring on up to 50 or even more as the program grows and as we see the needs for it. As we do more testing, we will find more and more people who have COVID-19. And again, we'll isolate every one of them, and we will find every one of their contacts, and we will make sure that they stay quarantined, and we'll check in with them every day. In other words, what this program means is that we're going to do a more complete job, and we're going to do a more meticulous job of making it less and less possible for others in the county to run into someone with COVID-19 infection. It's not just our county that's bringing more people on. There are going to be thousands of people hired who will be these contact investigators throughout the state. And this is occurring in many, many other states as well, perhaps all of the states in our country. We will be giving intensive training to these people, training not only for identifying and finding contacts, but also in terms of how to be sensitive about doing it. We also realize that as we find more contacts, some of the people we find are going to have trouble being isolated. For instance, if they live in a home where there's only one bathroom and there are 3 or 4 other people living there, and those people don't have COVID infection, we're not going to be able to keep the person in that home. Every person who we're isolating, for instance, needs to have their own bathroom. And so we'll be moving people like this into other kinds of housing that we have available. They'll also have other needs, perhaps, food, whatever it's going to be. The county will be there to back them up and to support them.
All right. So I happen to think that guy is not a real person. That the guy we're seeing talking right now is not a real person.
What are you talking about?
Well, look at my theory. Okay, let me see if I can get this to go. I want to split screen real quick when I get on my thing here. Darn it. All right. Darn it. It came up too fast. All right, I'll come back to it. But so, what do we think about this whole thing? I find it hard to believe that. Darn it! I just want to. You guys are gonna laugh when you see this. I just can't control my. Oh, you know what? It's over here. All right, so look at that guy's face right there. Okay, bring up that guy's face.
Which guy?
The guy that was just talking.
Are you on it?
I was going to try to go back because this is what I think. If you look at this right here, go to my screen. You see this right here?
Give me a break.
This guy is hiding something. Do you see it?
Oh, that's too much.
Dude, he's not even who he's claiming to be. All right, that's what I think.
A
Look
deep
at it.
fake.
It is totally bad. Right. I can see it, man. You can't get nothing past me. Look at that. There he is. And they act like that's just that's what he's doing. Look at him. Look at the eyebrows and everything. Yeah, so, I hear this kind of junk, and you kind of just have to roll with it. It's just rumors. They're just, I think they're putting it up there. My other question is what does this mean in sign language? Because, I'm watching that lady in the back do the sign language, and she's just, I was wondering. So put that in the comments if you know what this means. So when I hear this kind of stuff, I don't take it seriously at all. I just feel like they're just putting this stuff out there. I think they want to get to this type of thing. And I think part of their thing is they just want to portray themselves as that this is what they can do, and this is what the power they have. And I think they want to paralyze people with fear because it is scary to think. But, I don't think they really have that kind of power over us. I think it's more. I think it's just more talk, Paul. That's how I look at it. I live in Arizona, and I could have a gun right here on the table, and it would be fine. I could swing it around. It's Arizona, but in California, it's a little different thing. So maybe that's why I don't. If I was in California, I'd probably just leave, like you did, Paul.
Yep.
So talking about I think they can do that. Everybody knows the cell phones have that. Then you can get into the whole 5G thing. Everybody's talking about how 5G is part of their agenda here, and it does kind of tie in together because 5G, I think the wavelengths are shorter, so they can track people to a much more refined location, and so they can determine with much more a higher degree of accuracy who you've been in contact with. So I think that's part of what they're talking about too. So
Yeah. Well, Ramon had a comment on that.
About the 5G thing?
So I have an article here. It's Apple and Google show what their contact tracing system could look like. And so that's actually, that makes perfect sense because it's the two largest manufacturers when it comes to cell phones, and cell phones are kind of the things that people carry with them all the time voluntarily, even if you don't want to, you kind of almost have to carry a cell phone. Let's say you have a company phone or something like that. So Apple and Google is actually working together, which is kind of crazy if you follow tech stuff. Usually they're kind of it's either you're an Android guy or an iPhone guy, but they're actually working together, and they're kind of showing off what this whole contact tracing system could look like. So
yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of like you think that the Democrats and the Republicans are out against each other, and they can't make up their minds. The conservatives and I'm talking about now in society. Yes, there's definitely a division between left-wing people and right-wing people, and those people who are for Trump and those people who just hate everything Trump does. But I think when you look at what's happening in Washington, I think they're definitely working on things together more than what they let on. In fact, I think it's kind of it's kind of like professional wrestling in a way, because like they're enemies and then they're friends and then they're enemies, and it kind of depends. You'll see people who will be avowed enemies running against each other, who drag each other through the mud, and then you've got pictures of them just hanging out, like having a good old time. So,
well, Eric commented, did you hear Kansas City mayor wants the churches to give the list of church members their names and addresses? No, I didn't hear that.
So Paul, did you ever find that Rise of FEMA video?
Yeah, well, the Alex Jones one. No, I didn't get it ready. But
what's it called? Rise of the Police State or something?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? FEMA, the Rise of the Police State?
Yeah, Police State 3 or something like that.
Yeah. I want to kind of watch that again. You probably can't get that. It's all just for sale. Maybe you can get it on YouTube.
Well, while you're figuring that out.
The Rise of FEMA.
While you're figuring that out, here's a funny video that I wanted to play for you guys. I think you guys can appreciate this.
This is outrageous. Where are the armed men who come in to take the protesters away?
And this is how it's going to be. We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail.
They put you in jail right away. No trial, no nothing. You're playing music too loud.
Jail.
You're driving too fast.
Jail.
Slow.
Jail.
You're charging too high prices for sweaters, glasses.
Jail.
You undercook fish, believe it or not.
We will take you to jail.
Overcook chicken, also
jail.
Undercook, overcook. You make an appointment with the dentist and you don't show up, believe it or not.
We will take you to jail, period.
We have the best patients in the world because of jail.
So, is that your mashup, Paul? Did you do that? Is that your handiwork?
No, I found that on YouTube. I thought it was classic, though.
Yeah, back to that police state thing and the rise of FEMA. Did
you pull it up there?
I did. It was just basically a what do you call it? Yeah, you can get it on YouTube. It's got the police state for the rise of FEMA. And I let a lot of things just kind of go in one ear and out the other, and some things stick, some things bounce around, and some things I can remember. But I remember FEMA having all of this power, and when he was talking about declaring states of emergency, when we were talking to Bryan, he was talking about how there was the Stafford Act, and so they've got these things in place where when they declare an emergency, and it can be anything, they can just they can just say this is an emergency, and I think they've probably overreached the emergency talk with this matter here, but from what I saw several weeks ago is that they activated FEMA. So there's a different protocol in place, which allows them to make certain mandates. And some people could say, Abraham Lincoln did this back in the Civil War, and we haven't had the Constitution since 1863 or whatever. So the reason I bring that up is because this FEMA thing, that there's FEMA protocols in place, and they've been preparing for this for a long time. And I put in FEMA pastors in Google the other day, and I found this article, and it was just talking about how secret FEMA plan to use pastors as pacifiers in preparation for martial law.
Yeah, and I remember this article too when because I used to listen to Alex Jones all the time back in the day, and this is an article from InfoWars. From Prison Planet, and I totally remember this article. But when you brought this up to me, I was like, oh, I totally remember that. So I'm glad you're bringing this up today.
I mean, I don't know. We're nowhere near it. But, just talking about what you just mentioned, it does seem like they are trying to stir that type of initiative up, where they want to use and I'm not saying independent fundamental Baptist pastors, because they're independent. So they would have to go to every single pastor and say, hey, well, maybe not every single pastor, because there are, you do have groups of pastors that come from different Bible colleges, and maybe they have, they're from a large sending church that has sent many different churches out. So they don't necessarily have to go into every single church and get it. But when you have denominations, and these could be the Catholics, or these could be the starts with an M, has the lesbians. What's it called? All right. Anyways, those other type of churches.
Well, just read it a little bit.
Okay. Well, I just kind of skimmed through it. I don't know what's the good part.
Well, I think it's the second paragraph there.
All right.
So this comes from a whistleblower. Basically, a pastor went to this meeting with FEMA, and they told them, the things that they wanted to implement.
And this is after Katrina, because I think Katrina happened. That whole thing was like August of 2005. So it says, in March of this year, the pastor, who we shall refer to as Pastor Revere, was invited to attend a meeting of his local FEMA chapter, which circulated around preparedness for potential bioterrorist attack, any natural disaster, or a nationally declared emergency. The FEMA directors told the pastors that attended that it was their job to help implement FEMA and Homeland Security directives in anticipation of any of these eventualities. You don't hear much about Homeland Security these days, but I'm sure they're still working. The first directive was for pastors to preach to their congregations Romans 13, the often taken out of context Bible passage that was used by Hitler to hoodwink Christians into supporting him, in order to teach them to obey the government when martial law is declared. It was related to the pastors that quarantines, martial law, and forced relocation were a problem for state authorities when enforcing federal mandates due to the cowboy mentality of citizens standing up for their property and Second Amendment rights, as well as farmers defending their crops and livestock from seizure. So my property includes my family too. So when you stand up for them taking your children or doing anything, I think we have a right to our property, especially when it comes to what we do with our bodies and our children. It was stressed that the pastors needed to preach subservience to the authorities ahead of time in preparation for the roundups, and to make it clear to the congregation that this is for their own good. So I haven't had any of those sermons. I don't know. I've never heard my pastor preach on Romans 13 in any context like that. We have received confirmation from other preachers and pastors that this program is a nationwide initiative and a literal Soviet model whereby the churches are being systematically infiltrated by government volunteers and used as conduits for martial law training and conditioning. So I always look at people like they're from the government.
But notice how it says, for pastors to preach quarantines. That was interesting.
That it was related to pastors that quarantines, martial law, and forced
highlight
relocation.
Where you're at.
Okay.
Highlight where you're talking about here.
We're a problem.
You're at the top of the screen. Go down a little bit so people can actually see it.
I didn't know you had that thing here.
Well, go.
Okay, I got it here. Well, there we go. Somewhere in there. What is this? All right. Sorry.
He's computer illiterate here. Sorry, guys.
My fingers just don't go that far. It was related. What's he saying?
Nothing. Keep going.
This is funny. I want everybody to hear.
He doesn't unmute his mic, so we don't know what he's saying.
I said you fat fingered it.
Yeah. It was related to the pastors that quarantines, martial law, and forced relocation were a problem for state authorities when enforcing federal mandates due to the cowboy, this is quote here, cowboy mentality of citizens standing up for their property and Second Amendment rights, as well as farmers defending their crops and livestock from seizure. So, I don't know.
Dustin, we got Jessica from Texas that wants to talk to you here.
Cool. What's up, Jessica? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you at?
Yes, I'm in Magnolia, Texas. It's about an hour, maybe a little bit more northwest of Houston.
Cool. What inspired you to call us tonight, Jessica?
Yes, let me tell you, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, but I wanted to either do it on comments, but I never got a chance to. But now that I got you on the phone, I wanted to tell you, I don't like that person whoever said that you're a bad host, okay? You do a really good job.
Yes, thank you.
Why you got to bring that up, though? I forgot about that, man.
No, because I want to compliment you that you are doing a good job. I mean, that what you do is not easy at all, in no shape, way, or form. You're very entertaining. You're very educated. You have good vocabulary. I just look forward to all the content all the
Man,
time.
and we did not pay her
Wow.
to call in and say this either.
No,
you didn't
no,
pay
this is
her,
my first
Paul.
time.
That's right. You didn't. But what does she get? What does she win?
What was that?
What does she win, Paul?
Nothing.
What is she with?
Where,
Nothing. It's
I
her
was try-
good heart.
I was trying to get her to win. Jessica. I was trying to get you to win something here.
Oh, what am I gonna win? Sorry, I
You're
missed
cool. That's
some
fine.
the beginning of the minutes.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to set a subtle message to everybody listening that if they call in and say something nice, that I'm gonna try to get you some recompense.
Yeah, I bought the DMSO cream, and then like the next day I listened to the live and y'all were giving it away. I was like, oh man, but that's okay. I still wanted to.
It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
just y'all have good resources. Y'all have good information. I've been educating myself so much. So I'm a mom of 3 and a happy wife. So I just really look forward to the broadcast, and I just wanted to give you some positive feedback that forget the haters and the trolls that said that you're a bad host because you're not. You're a good host.
Yeah, I
so.
blocked that guy. He's never gonna say it again anyway. So Jessica.
That's awesome.
So Jessica,
Yeah.
do you ever go to Pure Words Baptist?
No, it's a little bit too far. Right now we're a 1-car family, so
Okay.
yeah, I really want to. Yeah, one Sunday we were like on our way there, and then something happened, and we with my kid, and so we couldn't go. But no, yeah, I haven't been there yet, but I'm subscribed to their channel sometimes too. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much for calling in and being so kind. I really appreciate the positive feedback. So, is there anything else you wanted to ask or say before we let you go?
No, just basically that I like all the content y'all are producing, and I'm look forward to educating myself more. Y'all have good information. So.
Well, thank you very much. Paula does
All right.
a lot of work to get these folks onto the show and to talk with us. So go ahead and put that comment in there, and we'll get that on the screen, right, Paul?
Okay, yeah, I'll do a comment too when I hang up right now. My
God bless you. Check out. I hope you make it out to Pure Words there. And I don't know who's preaching, but when you get Pastor Shelley, tell him I said hi, because he was here in Phoenix before he went out there. So.
Yeah. If I don't go there, I've been to the Steadfast twice before.
Nice.
The whole but yeah. All right. Well, thank you, y'all. Have a good one. Good night.
Thank you. Bye, Jessica.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
I was
that
scared,
nice.
dude.
That
I was totally
nice.
like, she's
that
like,
was nice.
I know, but to
She's
be
like
honest,
your biggest fan, man.
no, I've got bigger fans.
Yeah, you got big
She's
fans.
she just has to say that, so I'm glad she did. So, but I was kind of scared. She's like, you know what? And I was like, great, here it comes. I was just like, what could it be? I'm like, I'm ready. I'll square up. I'll square up with this girl from Texas. I'm sure she's about to tell me what she thinks. And I was like, whew, that was close. I thought for sure she was just going to tell me about what I said about the Grabblers or something. So Teresa W. Oh, that's your Teresa.
Yeah.
Jessica was in Texas. All right. So where were we, Paul? We were talking about FEMA pastors, and I think we kind of pretty much covered that. So if your pastor is preaching on Romans 13 in the last 6 weeks, I don't know. Just be aware of it, because, you still your higher authority is God, right? So if it comes from the Bible, that's good, but I don't think I don't know. I don't see it happening in my life, but there's a lot of watered down, weak churches out there, and I'm sure there's a lot of preachers out there who, or pastors, or reverends, or bishops, or priests who have been, they've been to the breakfast and they got the all expense paid trip to the convention or something. So.
All right. Well, again, guys, make sure to support us on Patreon or to donate to the show. Every dime that we get, we put right back into the show. For instance, like this, we got the second computer going, doing the graphics tonight. We're able to do the YouTube comments again. That's something I haven't been able to do for a while because it always dropped frames when I did it. So I had to figure out a way to do it on a second computer and just bring it in wirelessly through an NDI system. Not that you guys care, but I finally figured it out after a long time, and so I'm super pumped that we can implement that now.
All right, so call in 480-519-4999. If you have any questions, any comments, what's going on. I really enjoyed talking to Bryan Masche a little while ago. If you guys are in Arizona, maybe if you have time tomorrow, go ahead and boogie down to the state capitol, and there's going to be a rally of sorts just before the
Did he say 10 or 11 o'clock?
I didn't listen to it. I thought it's
Okay.
recorded.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, so you can go to Arizonans for Liberty, or this is on Facebook, Arizonans for Liberty, or Recall Governor Doug Ducey 2020. And you should be able to get the latest update on that, or just go put in Bryan Masche, BryanMasche. And we were talking about this before the show, but Bryan is a father of sextuplets. I'm trying to think, that's 6, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So 6 kids. So him and his wife had 6 kids. I don't know how many years ago, but they were on TV for it. If you put in his name into the YouTube search or Google search, that's the first thing that's going to come up, is the fact that he's got a whole 6-pack of kids. So.
Can you imagine getting all those kids at the exact same time? That'd be nuts.
It'd be kind of cool, because then you got them all, and I mean, you get them all through, and then the next thing you know, you got, I don't know, I'm sure it's hard with the diapers and with the crawling and the getting things out of their mouths and all of that stuff.
Rough 6 months.
You're like, what's in your mouth? And then they spit it out, and they're like, what's in your mouth? So when they get to that age, which is where one of my kids is at right now, then you got the diapers, and then you got the, I don't know. I don't know when it gets to be good. And they're all the same age. And the next thing you know, you think they're all good, and then the hormones kick in.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, at least it looks like he got, a 3 and 3. So
yeah.
That's nice.
That's great. Yeah, so he's a business owner. I don't know. Do you know what he does?
Yeah, I should have asked him, but I didn't.
Yeah, well, it really wasn't much. It wasn't much of the topic that we were talking about. And he has some other things, like he's an MBA, a BSN, I don't know what that is, an MSN, an FNP. Why do you just write those down, Paul? Did you just Google?
Look, I asked him for his bio, and this is what he sent me.
That's fine. That's cool. That guy's got more. He's got like an alphabet after his name.
Yeah.
I wonder what he did in the Air Force. So.
Well.
All right. So right here in Arizona, you can't go to Costco. This is everywhere in the whole country, right? You can't go into Costco without a mask.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's ridiculous. Well, let us know if you canceled your Costco membership, because we were thinking about doing it. And my wife today, she was going to go to Costco, and I told her just to kind of just sit out front. Like, go get gas, because that's where we get the gas. But sit out front and just park and just see what people are doing if they're coming out without mask on.
Yeah, it says people are boycotting Costco for requiring shoppers to wear masks in stores. So, I mean, yeah.
And it reveals, look at that.
Did you have to wear a mask?
No, man.
Can you?
Yeah, so sorry. I'm going to unmute myself. But yeah, I went to Costco yesterday, and so my wife told me if I said I had a medical condition, then they're not allowed to ask like what it is.
And that worked?
Yeah, so I went in, I asked, she's like, hey, do you want a mask? And I'm like, no. And then she's like, you have to wear a mask. And I said, well, I thought you don't have to wear one if you have a medical condition. And then she asked me if I had a medical condition, and I said yes. So
what do you have?
You're not allowed to tell.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm just.
He doesn't have to answer.
Paul, I'm putting him on the spot, dude. You're not going to be there for him.
I'm allergic to tyranny.
Yeah.
But
is that a medical condition?
Yeah.
It sounds more psychological.
But yeah, pretty much. Before I was able to come in like even 20 feet, a guy like chased me down. He's like, "Hey, you gotta get your mask on," and then I told him the same thing. I had to explain what I explained at the door, and then checking out after I got all my stuff, the guy at the counter, and he's got this big plastic thing on the counter. The cashier's like, "Where's your mask?" And then I said, I explained to myself again. So on my way out, I actually asked to talk to the manager, because it's like, I didn't come in through the back door. They need to all be on the same page. So what I did was I just told her, like, hey, look, you guys need to be on the same page. You can't just treat people like a criminal when they're coming in here. I came in through the front door. I was able to come in.
Yeah, I didn't sneak in.
I didn't sneak in. And so and she apologized, and she heard what I had to say. So that was kind of my
That's good, man.
boycotting for the day. Yeah.
That was great. You
this
probably
is-
taught her a lesson there.
Okay, Ramon, you're cool, bro. I'm not going to ask you because maybe you do have a medical condition, so this might not apply to you.
He does have a medical condition. He's allergic to tyranny.
Yeah, but my medical condition is I'm not a homo. So, like, that's, like, what's your medical condition? Well, I'm not gay, so I ain't going to wear no gay mask. So, yeah, because I always tell my kids, like, yeah, you don't want to pretend like you're sick. You don't want to pretend. I think it's a very bad thing, like, because I feel like it creates a mentality where, like, being sick or not being healthy, I think that your mind works that way. So, you don't want to just say, oh, I'm tired, I'm not feeling, and you make excuses for yourself. And this is unrelated to the Costco thing, but it's what comes to mind. Is I don't like to make excuses for myself about not being tired or about being sick, because I don't want to create that kind of feedback loop in my own mind. It's just my way of doing sorcery on myself. So I don't really want to go and I was telling my wife, you don't want to go tell people that you have a medical condition, because you want to just tell yourself and tell everybody, hey, I'm feeling great today, So, yeah, it's none-itis.
Yeah, but that being said, you also don't want to wear stupid mask either.
Yeah, I know,
Because
but
then you're just going along with their ridiculous system. So
I would
know,
just
it's
say,
like, what's the worst?
I
here?
would say, okay, so let's just all kind of conspire here.
Let's conspire.
So if you do that, say, you don't have to wear a mask if you have a medical condition. And if they say, do you have a medical condition? Say, I don't even have to answer you. And take that. See what happens. I'll try that one. So you're not even allowed to ask me if I've got a medical condition.
I don't think that's going to work, though, Dustin.
You can't even ask, but then you have to lie, and that's where I'm coming in with the line.
Yeah.
They actually can't ask.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they're actually not allowed
Yeah,
to
but
ask.
the medical condition, that's so broad.
Yeah, do you have a medical condition? I don't want to lie. That's all.
Well, it's like
I've got my tooth was pulled 8 years ago. I'm without that tooth, so.
Yeah, but then the same thing. It's like yeah. I hear what you're saying, Dustin.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
hear what you're saying,
That's
Dustin.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in there and say I have a medical condition, but I don't want to lie and say I have a medical condition.
I don't want to lie either, but you know what I'm saying when I go into Costco? I got a medical condition because I'm not wearing that stinking mask. But good thing I never go to Costco. I've gone to Costco like twice in my life.
You don't have a membership.
See, you could do it
I do have a membership.
Dustin, what you need to do is you need to do your Dustin thing and just be like, hey, how do I know this mask isn't contaminated?
Oh, yeah.
Because you just kind of have to make fun of that, too.
Right. That's true. Do you want a mask? I'm like, I don't know. Has it got COVID on it? What are you trying to give me? Are you going to take under full personal commercial liability that what's your name, Jerry, whatever, on your...
It was a pretty nice woman, but I mean, you could even say like, well, I mean, it would break our social distancing of 6 feet.
That's
rule.
awesome. That's awesome. That's what we got to do. I like it. I like that. I like where your head's at. I would take that mask, but can you set it over there for me, please? But you've touched it now. So, all right, Paul, where are we going with this here?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much the show here, guys. I mean, we interviewed the man. This is him actually doing the talk at the Capitol the other day. And so I filmed him down there. That's where I met him. And he seemed like a nice guy. Gave a good speech there.
I'm
going
to go into Costco with that scrubs and with a stethoscope.
Yeah, that'll get you through. See that guy with the flag right there?
Yeah.
He's running for Senate.
We're going to talk to him, right?
And we're going to have him on the show tomorrow. So that guy on the left holding the American flag, he's going to be on the show tomorrow. So I hope you guys tune in to tomorrow's show. It's going to be another great show. I got him booked up too. And so we're going to be talking to him about his run for Senate and him, and the coronavirus. So obviously he thinks this thing's a a big hoax too.
Yeah, and Mark or Bryan was pretty much gonna tell us that he hadn't seen any bodies too.
He almost said that, huh?
He was almost gonna be like, I haven't seen any bodies, and I'm like, right. That's cool. So, all right, guys. I don't know if he's pro-vaccine. I didn't want to get into that either, because a lot of people, if they vaccinated all their kids, you don't want to give them a hard time.
All right, real quick, guys. If anyone else wants to call into the show and just tell Dustin how awesome they are, you got about 2 minutes.
Right.
So call in.
Well, Pillar and Ground's here. He's in the chat, so he could call in.
And we got the Two Dun or
Two Duns in Poland.
Yeah, he's always on, man.
That's I've been practicing that. So I don't see Two Dun, but Two Dun, yeah, he is. I'm pretty sure it's a him. So give us some content. That's what Peter. Oh, Blood Orange, Orange Blood. I don't know Blood Orange. I love me some Blood Orange. I would call in, but I'm going to wait till the next show to give Dustin a hard time for not wearing his suit tonight. It's hot in here, Orange Blood.
Dude, it is so hot in here. So I have 3 air conditioners in this room that all suck, but they can't be on during the show, or you'd hear this loud hum the whole show. So we're dying over here. It's like, what do you say is the temperature in this room right now?
I'd say it's probably a good 98.
98.
No way.
98.
Dude, this is like...
Dude, it is so hot up in this.
77.
Well, yeah, you are 77. Here, you know
drafty
what?
down
I
here.
actually... No, you know what?
But it's not
hold on.
suit.
I'm going to figure this out. You keep talking. I'm going to get this figured out.
So when I first moved to Arizona, I would go out soul winning in the summertime in a suit. I don't know why. But then I kind of gained a little bit of weight, and it got a little too tight and a little too hot. So just a little bit. And I always, so I carry a gun too. So I don't carry it open. So I always have it under my jacket. So I've had too many run-ins with the cops out soul winning when I take my jacket off. So I'd have to wear my jacket too. So.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you, but I got the official temperature in this room on my app. Because I have a smoke detector in this room that does the temperature. It is 95 degrees in this room. What did you say it was?
That's at the
98.
ceiling. That's at the ceiling.
What did you say?
98.
Dude, okay, so you're very close.
That's
so
at the ceiling.
Okay, a lot of attitude going on down there. Let's see what the warehouse is. Okay.
Down
Okay,
here.
but it's at the top. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's at
And
the
it's
top.
really hot up
so
there.
the top of the room is 98. So it's
Yeah.
actually hotter in there, but it's way colder in there.
Yeah, because the machine is set here at 62 degrees. So
Yeah. Is it running?
no,
Yeah.
no, it just says 62 degrees. So, all right, well that was fun. So
Yeah, that was a great interview.
nobody's called in because I think that was the only person who had that opinion. Other people said nice things in the chat. But,
you had tons of great
Yeah.
stuff in the chat.
oh, well, I have a good time. So early cooler. What is that? I can read the early part, but I just sound out the cooler. What's a cooler? All right, I just got to know real quick. All right, so check out FEMA Rise of the Police State. That's interesting. I'm gonna check that out if I ever have time to do that.
Yeah, I got to rewatch that. I used to sell those films on my website years and years ago. I used to sell those films, but I haven't sold them in a while. But I should get those back on my store.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's because it kind of became obsolete, but this coronavirus thing has really made a lot of conspiracies not obsolete anymore.
Okay, a cooler is uncommon unisex name that has many meanings, such as being Dutch for victory
Where did you get
of the
this?
people, Gaelic
someone
for
comment
chapel.
this?
This is the person's name, Kyler. Okay, it's a surname, maybe. So I just see this person who's in the chat a lot with that name. So we got Orange Blood, Paul Atkins from, I think Paul might be from Temple, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Paul? Orange Blood, Early Cooler, T. Dunn, IFB, Javier Ramos. I don't know if Javier Ramos does anything besides watch YouTube, because Javier is in every chat. If I can go to the CNN chat, yeah, I bet you Javier's there, man, just telling the people. Pillar and Grounds there, and Psalm 139:22. I got a question for Psalm 139:22. Psalm 139:22. I need another clue. Okay, were you? Come say hi to me next time you see me in person. Psalm 139:22. And I'm wondering who this person is, but I think we know each other. But they've got a one of those cryptic names. But Psalm 139:22, I believe it's. Let's go ahead and quote that real quick. Psalm 139:22. Any guesses as to what that is?
No.
Ramon?
Someone commented, you're going to fry that technology in that room. You know what? I need to get like a fan, and I agree. I agree. It was up till like a week ago, it was very manageable in this room. But this week has been so hot here in Arizona. And so when you can't have any air conditioning on, you're in this little attic, it makes things super, super hot.
Okay, so Psalm 139:22 says.
You just sang that song.
Yeah, I know, but I just
yesterday.
didn't know what part was the line. I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies. So that's in the Word of God. Now, that's written by, I believe that's written by David. Yep, a Psalm of David. King David, if you've ever heard of him, he was a man after God's own heart. And this is inspired by the Holy Spirit. And David happens to hate people, and those people are the people that hate God. So if you ever hear anybody tell you that God doesn't hate, that God's all love, that it's wrong to hate, you just say Psalm 139:22, and you say that there's a perfect hatred. So I like that verse, and there's a good song if you could check that out.
Okay. Well, Andrew Paul commented, turn on the AC so we can hear the sound. If not, so we're going to turn on that sound.
Yeah, turn it on.
Keep talking.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Yeah, why not? That would be hilarious if nobody even notices, and you're all like, because Paul is never late to anything. If Paul will roll up, he's there early. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it on time, and he's going to be where he says he's going to be. That's just Paul. And okay, so I talked to Psalm 139:22 on Sunday. No. Yeah, Sunday. All right, so I'm gonna have to meditate on that.
So this is what the room sounds like with all the ACs on right here. What do you think? That's pretty loud?
All right.
Wouldn't you say?
Well,
I can hear that.
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
I can hear it too. Okay, so
But this is the only way to make it cool in here.
So
is all this noise.
Both of you are unmuted though.
Yeah. So that's with Ramon muted.
Okay, now switch it over. Now Ramon talk.
All right, there we go.
It's because
Okay.
Ramon doesn't talk next to his mic. He needs all this gain on his. I even have an arm. I even invested in an arm for Ramon.
Let's see
that arm
let's see
so he can
Ramon's
bring
shot.
it towards his mouth.
All right, how does that sound?
Oh man,
Let's see him.
that is impressive. All right, let's sign off, man. Let's get out of here.
All right. Okay, everybody. So, if you are an Arizonan and you're for liberty, go to the Capitol building tomorrow. Go to Facebook and go ahead and join that. Can you pull that up, Ramon? Arizonans for Liberty. And recall Governor Doug Ducey 2020. Now, if we don't have... So what happens if we recall Governor Doug Ducey right after? How does that even work? We need our legislator to do that. So, don't we? I don't know. It's been a while since I've read Arizona. I've never
Click
read
on
the
that guy's
Arizona.
face. I want to see him. Is that's Ducey, huh? That's him
Yeah.
right there. I don't think I've ever set my eyes on that guy.
His eyes are really close together.
Yeah.
That's a sign. Yeah. He got kicked by a mule. That's how you'd think he would be a better leader for it, but I don't know. You can't trust some of
All
those
right, guys. We're going to be signing off here. We have to go dip in a A very cold shower.
And I'm sorry if you're offended if your eyes are close together like this guy's, but that just shows you shouldn't be offended.
Okay. All right, guys. This show is sponsored by Our House. Make sure to head over there. She has a great channel. I keep forgetting to pull up the text to read it.
I'll do it real quick. I'll go ahead and put her into the.
But go to Our House and support that channel. Make sure to head over there right now. Just leave this video. You don't need to see this anyways. Leave this video right now. Go over to Our House, subscribe to Our House, and watch her great videos. She puts out content like every day.
Yeah.
And so she also has a Patreon account. You can support her on there. What do you got? You got it pulled up there? There you go.
Yeah.
There's Our House. So
there's a link in the
Our
chat.
House. Just type in YouTube.
She has
YouTube
production
search, Our
quality.
House.
We do it. We have production quality, but it's the content.
Yeah,
that's what a little bit back.
Are you saying the content's not as good here? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
the content's
she
better.
runs it through some kind of filter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she edits them.
Yeah.
We do it live, so there's no filter.
Oh, she's watching. All right, cool.
Oh, is she here?
Yeah.
She's okay, go. Hi.
Sweet.
All right.
All right. So, but back to what I was saying. If you guys are in Arizona, hey, go down there, check it out. Especially if you're furloughed from work or if you've got the day off, just go there and just be another body, because you don't have to be the guy on the platform yelling and doing all of that. But when they look down and they see as many people show up, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen as a result, but maybe encourage the guys up there who have something to say. I've kind of stepped. It's been a long time. I stopped with the political process a long time ago. I've lost faith in that, but that's just me. But there's something there. The things still need to play out. So I've got to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to go.
Well, you got a comment from Pillar and Ground. It's so hot in that studio that Dustin got a tan. You do look very tan tonight.
Yeah, it's Arizona. It's May. It's 108 degrees outside, and you just have to get near a window when you get a tan. So, Paul, I recommend that you go and check out some sunlight, man, because you're up here in this this booth all the time. So
yeah, sunlight would be great. See, I go about my life. I've been bragging that I just go about my life as normal, but my life as normal is pretty much here. It's in this chair. I live in this chair. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching tonight. Thank you for subscribing to our channel and watching us every night. Make sure to tune in to tomorrow's show. We're going to be interviewing. I forget his name, but he is running for Senate here in Arizona. And so make sure to go to his channel and check him out as well. We'll be posting a video about that tomorrow. But thanks again, guys, for supporting us. And make sure, if you haven't yet supported the 10th film, that's the new film that we're making at framingtheworld.com, make sure to go over there and support that 10th film. It is in the works right now as we speak. We just bought plane tickets over to an undisclosed location, and so we're going to be heading out here in like a month and a half, and hopefully we can fly over there. But we bought the plane tickets. We're ready to go, and so but we still have to raise quite a bit of money yet. So if you can help out on that 10th film, please consider doing that. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Any final thoughts, Dustin?
Yeah, I just put a comment in the chat telling everybody to buy this shirt. So Paul has a shirt. It's the Thessalonians series, and Paul's got like 11,000 of these shirts, and they're already paid for. And he's just like, this is like, it's savings. So buy them before the moths eat them. No. And they're good T-shirts. It's a great series, the whole Thessalonian series that Pastor Anderson did. Buy the DVD series, but get the T-shirt if you want to help Paul out. It's a nice T-shirt. It's got the it's got that character on it. I don't even know what it is, but I'll wear it next time. All right, everybody. God bless you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. It's just tomorrow night.